Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again, all you members of the Duval Devout out there. This is Kyle Nash, a student of the game, a Fans for Sports Network, bringing you this week's edition, the free agency wrap-up / negotiation wrap-up / what do we do now portion of the offseason here at the Duval Dive here in all things Jaguar and stuff like that. And listen, a lot of the conversation we've had over the past week, there has been a whole ton of movement, and credit to my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, for all the stuff he's dropped during the week. Well, let's just say I was playing hurt quite a bit. I won't go into details, but I was sick, and Travis handled a lot of stuff there during the week. That's why you didn't see my face as much. But hey, apparently you don't need it. You guys ate up what he did there out there. It was a great thing that he did too during each day, breaking stuff down, talking about the various movements. But we're here to kind of explain what we think this means for the direction of the team overall. And listen, I can run my mouth and tell you what I think, and I surely will. But I have to make sure that the man is here to hear the testimony and the questions I have. Of course, I refer to my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, Big Cat. We're going to do this to me? Big Cat Country. There we go. When you push the button and it doesn't work, it's a whole thing. Anyways, Travis D. Holmes, Big Cat Country. What's going on there, partner?
I mean, I'm good. You had me in the sunken place for a second, but I escaped. It's good. We here.
Place, yeah. Right. Does that mean while the button wasn't working, I had the lemon booty? Is that it? Is that what happened?
Nah. If anything, you had the tea. And you just over there staring it like an evil mad scientist. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. No, man. And listen, first of all, if you haven't checked it out, because you've not subscribed yet to the Duval Dive YouTube channel, make sure you check out Travis's top 5 free agents for this season. I have to tell you, he does drop quite a bit of knowledge, and I will give him this much credit. He utilized far less of his, shall we say, defensive secondary bias than I thought he would here. So I'm proud of you, boy. I'm proud of you, my good friend. I'm proud of you. So anyways, somebody else who I'm proud of, I got to give this dude shouts, because before the damn show starts, my dude's jumping in. Robert's in the comments. Best team ever, says Con. Gladstone was like, let me tear this crap down and build through the draft. But isn't that what everybody wanted, Robert? Like, honestly, I think if this was what we asked for, and by the way, let me be clear, ever assembled, meaning me and Trent were great. And the kid who's younger than a lot of the songs Travis D. Holmes and I listened to said, nah, fam, bye, Felicia. So, on no uncertain terms.
But we don't have to pretend like this is the best free agency, because no one's trying to win the offseason at this point.
Yeah.
At least in this new Jacksonville Jaguars front office. Now it's all about, let's see how they draft. I'm here for this.
I think you don't want to go to a fan base like the Jags, who has suffered for an extended period of time, and come out saying, well, we need you to be patient, because bleep that noise. We've been patient since 22. And beyond that, we were patient since Blake Bortles, the guy who's regularly listed as a joke in The Good Place. And that series is 15 years old now? Anyways. So you don't come out with that, but the messages they are coming out with are all forward-facing. I don't know if you've noticed that yet in particular yourself, Travis. You probably have. But all the forward-facing, the responses, all the way that people are looking forward and saying what they're doing rather than what they're asking for from the fans. I like every single bit of that. Let's see, Robert says something else here too. Let me get him to jump in. The top teams at the bottom 10 of teams spending in free
agency.
Yeah, that's accurate.
And pretty bad.
Yeah, the point I made before for the Chiefs, I made them one of the best teams in my in the offseason on the Student of the Game podcast on 2024, simply because when you are that high up and you still found a way to improve, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. So I see what he's trying to say there overall. Let's see. Brian Pennant drops in saying hi. What's going on, man? Aiden Toba comes in. Don't diss the boat.
Michael
as well. Yeah, do not slander the boat. I don't remember slandering the boat per se, but okay.
Hey man, we like Bortles. I mean, again, UCF people, we don't dislike Bortles, but it is what it is. Like the man's play on the field was Tebow-ish. It was NFL Tebow-ish.
You know, we'll leave that at that. And then, of course, the General Mike Patton touring the AFC South jumps in. I wonder if a cup will be runneth over in Jacksonville. General, that's adorable. Unfortunately, I made that joke at least 2 weeks ago. So, so with all that being said, among the things that we'll discuss are all those aforementioned topics. But listen, as much as I complimented Travis for not overrepresenting or even misrepresenting, I'll say, the DBs in his top 5 that he dropped this morning, I am going to go Homer AF and talk about what this group has done with the offensive line. Kyle, you're all about the beef. I might be. But this is a pretty essential element because, Travis, the past 2 seasons, one Trevor Lawrence has not finished upright. And I think that's probably among, if not the biggest problem. I can make the argument that for all the close games the Jags lost, and again, it's like 10 different games or something. I'm going to have to look this up so I can get this right. I keep quoting this. But it's like 10 games that are within a score. And a lot of them are with Mac Jones at the helm. Imagine if Trevor Lawrence were starting at least some of those games. Some of those would flip over. I'm not saying they're making the playoffs, but let's just say a lot of people would have had their Travis Hunting dashed from their dreams well sooner than they should have.
No, like if Trevor Lawrence didn't get injured, even in the 2024 season, as rough as messy, as ugly as that season was, it was still probably going to be an 8-9 win season. Like, just being real.
Yeah.
I think the defense got hot at the right time, even if they and while the offense was struggling under Matt Jones. But nevertheless, no one wants to hear that because we needed whatever had to happen. We needed it to happen to get Trent Baalke out of the door and to get Doug Peterson out of the door. So we have to believe that 4 to 5 wins is realistically what this team was, when in reality they were probably closer to 8, and that's just kind of what you're going to get from Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson, unfortunately.
If I remember correctly, too, we predicted them like 9 or 10 at the highest. I think we had them at 9. So
because math.
I mean, it is what it was. It's
what it is.
Overpaying for old stars has worked so well in the past. Shots fired at acquiring Cooper Kupp by Robert there. It's crazy. Anyways, I promised O-line talk. That's where I'm going first. There's a lot of stuff in the comments. We will catch up to you guys, I assure you, but I don't want this to be another 50-minute show. Not that I have a problem with 50-minute shows either. You guys are great, but let's get on to it. And I think the offensive line is the biggest deal because there are 2 things I mentioned protecting Trevor Lawrence. The other being, of course, everybody, and rightly so, in the Duval Devout seems to want to see the ball run better. I think that's pretty simple. 2 years ago, it was worse with yardage at first hit. Shouts to Dan Griffiths for even informing me that number was actually tracked as well as it is. I'm very surprised. And then to see that they were about as low in 24, even with all the, I'm going to air quotes, upgrades, that's problematic.
Well, under Doug Peterson, they were never good at yards before contact. Like, as far as the offensive line blocking, Luke Fortner, even when folks were saying he was quote unquote good, he was never good. Like, it was never actually good. It was just, hey, he's a rookie, so we're going to give him a pass at being bad at run blocking. You could even make the exact same argument for Anton Harris. Like, and I don't want to down our right tackle that everyone loves, but I also want to be honest and be clear about what the film shows. And we've had 2 years to show now, hey, his rookie season, we gave him a pass and everybody just focused on his pass blocking. His run blocking both years has been bad. It got marginally better in 2024. It's still pretty rough for 4 of those guys on the line, and he's one of them, unfortunately.
I'm seeing in the comments he's jumping out, so I'll throw him his props. It would be Kyle quoting a commercial from the 90s. First of all, sir, that's the 80s that the Wendy's Where's the Beef commercial took place. Unfortunately, sir, we are both that old that, yes, we're making 80s commercials references, but you better bet your entire rear end I did ask where the beef was on this roster. Apparently, somebody listened, particularly James Gladstone. But I'll add this.
So,
go ahead. You got
No, I mean the Jaguars obviously they brought in the three offensive linemen so far as of the time of this recording on Wednesday night. I mean they got the Patrick McCarry, the Baltimore Ravens versatile offensive lineman. He's has over 500, I believe, it might even be 600 snaps at every single offensive line position. So he kind of gives them some versatility going to the draft. We had that whole conversation this morning. Take a look on the YouTube. Take a look on your podcast catcher. And then we also have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers former starting offensive lineman from the 2022 and 2023 seasons, and Robert Hainsey. Yep. That seems to be Kyle's favorite person. I'm kind of, let's have the conversation we just had offline. I'm just going to say it out loud.
Well, yeah. So I can make the argument, and so you put Brown as the number one free agency acquisition. I'm not prepared to go there. Okay. But all the guys you picked, I think, are a great top 5 grouping. Now, would I have put Brown at 5? No. I think you're right to put Murray where he is because upside, or shall I say lack thereof, right? But I can make a strong argument that former Bucs center should be the number one free agent. Now, if you got McCarry, cool. I can live with that. I'm fine with that. That's similar to 2 years ago. They picked Lamar Demetrius Jackson as MVP. I was fine with it. But we all know the real answer was Christian McCaffrey, right? Like we're not fooled, right? Anyways, so
my biggest problem was watching the tape because everyone has their type. And I want to be real about this. Everybody has a bias. I have a bias because I have a type. This isn't DB play. This is O-line play. But if we're talking about the offensive line play of Robert Hainsey, my preference is a power guy. My preference is a mauler who might struggle ever so often in pass protection, but he's going to absolutely move some bodies. He's absolutely going to have some dudes on skates. That's my preference for your center. That's not who he is. He is more like the guy who's going. He's more like I believe you said it best. He was more like I won't say the Jason Kelce because I think that's not doing him.
That's a bit extreme.
That's a bit extreme, but nevertheless, he is more like, unfortunately, I will say a Luke Fortner, and not in a bad way. Stop! Don't jump off a cliff. No. He is more like a very intelligent guy who's going to be good in pass protection, which Luke wasn't always, to be clear.
Right.
But no, one of those guys, like his strength is his pass protection. It's not necessarily moving guys. It's just shielding guys to the right, turning that nose tackle into a one technique or something along those lines. Like he's not that guy. So overall, he's not my preference. That doesn't mean he doesn't get the job done. He actually started for the Buccaneers for those 2 years and was fine. But they did also draft the center in the second round for a reason.
Well,
so
and let's also be mindful that the NFC South for the past couple years, maybe not last year, that could have changed, but the previous year, certainly the NFC South was easily the worst division in the NFL without question. Also, I don't know if you would call any of the teams there a dynamic defense. Yes, the schedule matters in my opinion, right? That being said, he also had to practice against Vita Vea. That'll get you good real damn fast.
Or to get you exposed real fast.
Well, hey, listen, the dude, if he was gonna get exposed, he wouldn't have been the starter. That's my point. But let's leave that all to the side. Here's why I'm okay with a less powerful center. If you're gonna give me your interior, let's tear all this down. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
It's my turn. It's my time to shine, baby.
I'm with you.
The offensive line, the school that I attend, here are the following rules. Your best athletes have to be the tackles. Period, point blank, full stop. Okay? Yeah. They have the farthest distance to go if there's a pull. They have the farthest distance to go if they are off the ball. They're going to the second level, and they got to get there before a linebacker. All of that. They have to be the best. And screen passes, they have the furthest to go. If you need a mauler, you put them at the guards. So if you have proper guards that can dominate and push people around, you're good. You're golden. You're what I need. But let's just say they're good, not great. Your center, being a smart guy, the number of teams that actually run a genuine, bona fide, 100% zero technique, the fat guys that can do that the way you need to in this athletic of an NFL, they're just really not there, right? We're talking maybe, I don't know, the closest thing I could think of is a Sheldon Brown, but that kind of thing where you have just a force of nature and two guys on the outside and the linebackers just pick the place where the hole is made by that fat guy in the middle. What was the old Packers guy, Gilbert Brown, that lined up next to Reggie White? Those guys don't really exist because they're kind of obsolete. They're seen monetarily, at least, as being such a specialist. You don't want to tie that much money up in a dude whose shelf life isn't that great on the defensive interior.
I'm with you so far, but also the defenses are so unique and so transitional. We'll say these days, you will have guys like Jalen Carter. You will have guys like Vita Vea who can start in a 4-man front as your 3 technique, but also still be your nose tackle and kind of do that similar damage. That's all. That's my underlying point.
So So what you're talking about is true anomalies like Jalen Carter, like Aaron Donald, like guys like that. And you have to plan for that. You have to gadget that. Intelligence is more likely to beat those guys than power is every damn day. If you have some flat-footed, stone-footed center that can't move, Jalen Carlin, I've got totally Liz Dexick right there. Jalen Carter is going to own that human being. And by the way, let the record show that Creed Humphrey, I believe he's still the highest paid center in the league, was dominated throughout the night. And he's not that bulky, stone-footed guy. So, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff.
That's fair.
But the way I'm going to land the plane is this. What the AFC South does have is, I think Jeffrey Simmons is still in Tennessee, right? DeForest Buckner, though he's not the main guy anymore, they still have a pretty good defensive tackle core in Indy. Right, and then the Texans,
Fuller Alonso Fatukasi, and that's not really there. That kind of guy,
and then I think if they're talking about, I think they had Hargrave at one point.
Javon Hargrave, right?
Yeah. Everybody on this team, except for the flippin' Jags, has a strong defensive interior. So if you don't know how to cope with that right now, you're about to learn today. But here's the way you get around all of it: the center's job. Because if they have those guys, we all know they come out in 4-man fronts. So where there's no true zero technique. This is less about Hainsey and more about either
McCarry or Cleveland
or whoever they do to spot fill Scherf and how much they need help in the double team. Because
the moment, that's McCarry.
You're right. And it probably will remain McCarry. I think either that or you're going to put Walker Little in there. I don't know.
Oh no, that's going to be your draft pick. Like that's going to be. I pray to God that's going to be your draft pick. Like it's not like I don't like McCarry. Again, he's my second favorite pick of the current class of free agents, the 9 guys. But Patrick McCarry is a really talented guy who's hopefully not going to stop you from drafting a guard in such class. So I'm hoping they have the ability to still bring a guy in, and if you need time to develop in the first half of the year, whatever, bring him in and. The best 5 are the best 5. You line them up.
But let me tell you why I think they actually brought a swing guy in, and this is going to cheese some people off. What if Will Campbell of LSU falls to 5? You have to take him. There's not a middle ground here. You get him. You swing McCarry and Walker Little. Those are your guards now on that side. And you solidify this group that way.
It depends on who's there. But I mean, he's in my top 3 for sure. Like he's in my top 3 for the Jaguars as far as if he's on the board, you have to think about taking him. But you still got Travis Hunter to talk about. You still got Mason Graham to talk about.
If Hunter and Graham are both off the board, which there is a non-zero chance, sir. Right? What was it? The Browns just got Kenny Pickett, and allegedly they're going with him. I know it's lying season.
Exactly. So the quarterbacks make it so that this can be possible, right?
We talked this a few weeks back on my singular episode. I mean, nobody will listen to it because all I do is yell, right? But my singular episode where I talked about Abdul Carter, if he's the first-round pick, why that's a problem, right? Because if that happens, almost inevitably, Travis Hunter's off the board before he gets to 5. And the Patriots may very well take Mason Graham with Aaron Glenn as their head coach as a defensive guy. It may not happen. I think it's kind of a long shot, but it is a non-zero chance, and it's better than 20% in my head at least. So,
okay. But no, I'm again, the Patrick McCarry thing again makes it get curious because he could start at any of those positions, and folks keep T Wig, shout out T Wig on Locked On Jaguars. Like he's been saying it pretty religiously at this point. Don't make assumptions about what you think is going to happen with the Jacksonville Jaguars personnel groups. It's hard for folks to be like, hey man, Jarian Jones was such a great slot corner, so he's obviously already we got a Sharpie out. We got a penciled in.
We gonna talk about that.
I'm not jumping. I'm just using him as an example.
Okay.
Whoever it may be, if it's Jarian, if it's your starting running back, we're gonna pencil Tank Bigsby or pencil Travis Etienne because
they have to replace Evan Ingram. They got to do it now.
Right, and that's folks are having these like they just believe they have their set beliefs based on what's happened in previous years from people that were brought in by previous GMs and played under previous coaches.
You demanded be kicked out the door, and then you asked for the same thing. This is like King George saying to John Adams, "Oh, but you want a king, you just don't know it." That's how y'all are acting, Duval DeVal.
So I'm just bringing that same conversation and that same smoke and that same heat to the offensive line. If this offensive line has struggled so bad at run blocking, and 4 of the 5 guys struggled at run blocking, and we've established that, Duval, that's not back down from it now just because we're in the offseason and everybody feeling good. No. Keep that energy. The only one that ran block well was Walker Little. Everybody else should be able to be on the chopping block, and that includes Ezra Cleveland, who I actually think played well, generally speaking. You know, coming off a really rough season, his first half of the year with the Jaguars. So I'm saying, so all I'm saying is to say either of your tackles could absolutely be, and that includes Anton Harrison. Could be, hey, if you bring Will Campbell in, hey man, y'all got to compete. Who wins. I just want to make this. I want to bring this run game back. And if that's because that's what he did in Tampa Bay. That's what Liam Coleman did in Tampa. He brought an efficient running game by changing over 2 offensive linemen and bringing in a 4th-round draft pick running back in Bucky Irving. So you can't make an assumption that the offensive line is going to be what it is today. And if they bring a rookie in, even at tackle, guess what that means? Y'all boys got to compete. God bless you. Good luck.
May the false be with you, boys. And I can't rule out, by the way, that if they get Will Campbell, that Campbell and Harrison aren't the tackles that start at the end of the day. I can't rule that out. I can't rule that out, homie.
I can't rule out the fact that it might be Campbell and Walker Little.
You can't. You absolutely can. That's a great call, especially with the way they paid Walker Little.
So I'm just throwing out, hey man, these are options that folks don't get stuck in your round ball, square hole situation that you're just assuming this is what it's going to be. Because Patrick McCurry can play all these roles. He can literally be your swing everything. And that's just competition is going to rule the day. And I think the Jacksonville Jaguars have shown you that with these signings. And again, that's outside of the offensive line everywhere. If they bring a guy in, he might not have the highest ceiling. He might not be the top guy on the market, but he's going to be a dog. He's going to be somebody you hear about being like, oh, he's a great locker room guy. Oh, he's also a guy who's going to be like 100% on film. He's not someone who's loafing, a la whether it be one of the linebackers from last season or multiple guys in the secondary. I'm not naming any names, but if you listen to the podcast, you know who I'm talking about.
You're not doing your Dre Cisco impression. That's not you.
All I'm saying is you ain't got those concerns, man. You got dogs who are coming in and hungry, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I have every intention, since I dominated so much of the show in my part of the world, I'm going to land the plane in your space here shortly, but let me get some of these comments because y'all kids, I see you all in the background in the studio here, and y'all kids are lighting it up. So let me get in. Yeah. Let's see. Aiden jumps in. That guy from the Ravens looks nasty. Yeah, that's McCarry, man. We know we're stoked for him too, for sure. Looking at these guys' photos, we signed some big bags. Hey, that's what they need, though, Aiden. Ain't nobody mad at it.
Not big bag. All right, cool.
By the way, Aiden, in case you're wondering, the official draft language when you're talking about that on a lineman is that's his bubble. Okay, there you go. I don't see the negativity. What can I say? Fat.
I ain't judging, but folks don't know. Folks don't be knowing, man. Like real talk. If you've never seen an offensive lineman up close, if you've never seen these guys like without their shirts on or whatever else, like again, I played in college with some of these guys, and like I know guys in the league. Nah, man, these offensive linemen very often will be big as hell, 320 pounds, 310 pounds, and chiseled. And you'd be like, what in the hell? They don't even make sense. You are offensive lineman. It's just these guys are strong, but sometimes big. So when he says bit back, I'm thinking fat back. I'm thinking bacon. I'm thinking, hey, grow these dudes out of shape. Nah,
That's
man,
why
these
they
dudes
call
got
them
their
hogs,
dogs.
baby.
Yeah, man, they be dogs.
And this is a good point. Robert brings in no more Peterson pass run on the 1 yard line. Hey, for real.
Man, run it in.
Wells,
Identity.
well, I like what Wells is saying here. Hainsey is a sealer,
LG.
not a peeper mover. That's what he's trying
That's
to.
it.
Yeah,
And you can be a good one, but that's what it is.
I think when we were talking in our types, we were talking about the prototype version of each for sure. I agree with you. Robert agrees. Anton and Walker, better step up. I think that's the understatement of the century. Mason Graham is coming to save us, says Aiden. The Pats signed two both highly DTs, both very likely. I don't see them grabbing Graham. Sure. And let's also keep in mind, though, Aiden, it's not just the Pats. I mentioned the Pats in particular, but yeah, you mentioned the signings. It's a great point. The Browns are on the table. Maybe they want to give their new reinvestment in the super big contract for Myles Garrett something, because a linebacker's best friend is a D tackle. Just ask Ray Lewis, who had 2 Hall of Fame caliber ones in front of him, right? We'll leave that at that. Milton Williams just got $100 million from them. I think you're referring to the Pats. Yeah.
Campbell, Membo, or Banks?
Yeah, that's Campbell, Membo, or Banks. Yeah, that is the question, right? Let's go full Shakespearean on that.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Campbell. It feels like Campbell or Membo for me, though. And that just depends on the style of offense you're trying to run. And I'm still probably leaning Campbell, but everybody has their preference, and I don't think that's a hard one for me, because again, I don't generally judge O-line play. I just have my preferences because I want to see dogs up there. But yeah, I'm probably going Campbell.
Toriano's a better scout than I am. We'll have him back at some point leading up to the draft to really chop that part up. But for me, I just know what the need is, and if they get Campbell, that's an interesting there too. Well, don't worry, we'll get a hot take here on that in a minute here in the comments. And then in defending you, most of them are jacked. They just some beefy mofos. Well, here's the thing, and this isn't disrespect, because it's the job. It's instead of a weight limit, you have to meet a weight requirement as an offensive lineman in the NFL. One of the seated underbelly things you don't hear much about. These dudes got pot bellies for all their muscles too, but that's because they got to make a weight, So there's that. Nasir Premier jumps in the comments. Membo greater than Banks, greater than Campbell.
Interesting.
That is a hot take in this space.
My mouth dropped when I mean, it's not like it's not wrong, because there's people who have this belief and people who know O-line play better than I. I want to be clear in saying this.
I've seen that take, though. That's all I'm saying.
I've seen it because, again, like I hang out with people who truly watch tape like no other, and I'm just like, dude, y'all watch tape just because y'all just hanging out watching tape. Like legitimately, they don't do it for a job. They just like love ball to that level, and they have these tapes about O-line play, and I'm just like, and I tell people straight up, I listen to people who I trust on O-line talent because I'm a DB, and I know I'm great with the skill positions. I feel like that's easy, but O-line take is another conversation, and they'll be like, no, we love Membos. We watch this tape that we saw the last 5 games, and this dude's tape is amazing, and he should be the top guy. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. Like, I don't think it's a wild take. It's just, I didn't know. This is curious.
It's an interesting take, and as you listen, you watch a lot more tape than I do. I'll put it that way, and I don't have enough evidence to rebut what Nasir is saying, so I will not diss it. I'm very curious to see how that pans. Aiden jumps in. Dilla just hit us with the eye emojis. Yeah, we tight with Dilla. It's all right.
I love Dilla, but that man might be talking about soccer right now. We don't be knowing. Like, I love it because he be talking about, hey man, I just saw this Waffle House menu and they just added a great item, eyes emoji, and everybody just freaking out for the next hour. I can't. My heart can't take this.
But you know what? If he puts eyes on a Waffle House that doesn't involve a fight, I appreciate him bringing attention to it. There's that. That Campbell squat video has me stunned. Yeah, man. I'm with you on that. It's not Tristan Wirtz jumping out of the pool amazing. That still blows my mind. I dream about that at night sometimes. It's crazy.
Hey,
and then
Maurice Jones drew it line. That's what
Nasir,
I see.
Yeah, Nasir says it best. It depends on who you ask. Yeah, no, philosophies. This is what makes horse races for sure. But enough about all that. Great comments, by the way, guys. Thank you.
But I'm curious about this DB core, bro. Like
So,
this is where I'm landing.
So here's my takeaway early. Your key phrase in your Tuesday morning solo pod here on the Duval Dive, your mantra was raising the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. Keeping the floor, maybe. I'm not prepared to say yet that this group is better than last year's officially. Now, the real reason I say that is how can we all the bleeding injuries, right? My question is this group deep enough compared to last year's to be as good as last year? When inevitably Tyson Campbell misses game number 8 on the year, right? That's so mean, but I mean, it's something you got to be prepared for, right? And let's say
are we talking raising the floor on the roster? Or are we talking raising the floor of just the team in general? Because those are two separate things, but they matter, right?
I mean, well, and maybe when you say raising the floor for the roster, you mean the same thing I'm saying semantically with holding the floor. So
you feel like we may be holding the floor, and I think that may be at minimum fair because they did release multiple players who have significant snaps for this Jacksonville significant NFL snaps, period.
Yeah.
And they didn't work out for fill in the blank reason. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be good at other stops. Again, Ronald Darby was good in Baltimore. Christian Kirk was good in Arizona, and he was better here, honestly. These guys are going to go somewhere. Evan Ingram and probably do well in Denver. He just got signed to a 2-year contract in Denver today,
which I think is a better fit with that offense, right?
So they can go somewhere else in a different scheme and probably still play well. So I'm not saying that we're necessarily raising the floor on those individual guys 1-to-1. But if you want to say, all right, this is a different scheme, and in this scheme, I think we at least holding the floor after releasing all these guys and actually hiring all these, for the most part, middle tier free agents. None of these were like the top guys in their position groups. These are just middle guys for moderately cheap contracts, and we still held the floor to what it was last season, losing those big time names. I think that is a win going into a team that wants to be draft first. Like that's kind of where I'm looking at it.
You know where the easiest argument is? Where the guy makes it for you. Boom! That's exactly what I was going to say was all of that. Yeah.
But no, if we
holding the floor with all the changes, you can't put it any better.
But I put it in. I mean, this is kind of how I laid it out in the solo podcast this morning. Like, you got Long and you got Month. Those two take care of Luke Farrell. They're blocking tight ends who are going to basically, they're blocking tight ends who are going to be your blocking guy, but they're not going to cost you $20 million like Luke Farrell cost you $20 million. Brennan Strange is equal to or better than Evan Ingram because he doesn't need to be taken off the field, and you can actually use him 100% of the block, 100% of the snaps in the Tampa Bay offense without giving away that you're probably going to be passing instead of running instead of passing, or passing instead of running, because Evan Ingram generally wasn't blocking much in line blocking. Brown versus Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's obviously better, but Christian Kirk can only play in the slot. Now you got BTJ in the slot. More often he can be a little bit versatile as far as that piece is concerned. He's not better than Christian Kirk, but he makes the offense better by allowing BT to be in the slot more often, if that makes any sense.
It does.
And we can go down that line. Like Adoga is probably equal to or better than Javon Foster as your swing tackle guy. Hainsey is probably equal to or better than Mitch Morse. Like, we're going. Makari is probably going to be equal to or better than Brandon Scherf. He's absolutely better than him in the run game, but he's worse in the passing game.
I'm not sure those are comparable exactly, because in my opinion, these were upgrades. Period. Point blank. End of story. Okay, the O-line got upgraded. I don't care if Scherf is staying in the building or not. They found a better guy.
You're arguing he is better. Point blank.
Without hesitation. Are you trying to tell me that you were able to hold the line as long as you have to for a mobile quarterback like Lamar Demetrius Jackson in a division where you're playing TJ Watt twice a year? I could go on, but I don't need
That's it. But folks use they use the advanced analytics and say, well, no, man, Scherf only had this pressure rate, or he only gave up this many
don't
sacks.
let
But it's like
friends
fans don't think about that.
overuse PFF. Friends don't let friends overuse PFF. If you love football so much, watch the film, Emmanuel Acho.
That's it. That's it. So overall, I was going to argue that they're at least equal to, or maybe even Macari might be better, and he doesn't have to be significantly better to be better, because we're focused on the run game. Run game needs to be better, and Macari would make that run game better than you had it with Scherf. Whether Lewis and Jarian might be similar, but the fact of the matter is we've already established that Jarian is going to be moving outside. So he's going to be your outside cornerback. So maybe he raises the level there and gives you a little bit more flexibility in your dime packages and whatever else you want to play. Murray versus Cisco is the last conversation.
Right. Real quick, there's this guy who he does a Jag spot, who talked about the possibility of Jarian Jones moving. Oh, it's Travis D. Holmes. Anyway, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that Jarian Jones, having showed out the way he did as a slot, maybe they do kick him outside. I don't think that's – I mean, listen, when your first NFL snap is guarding Tyreek Hill and you hold him down, I'm just saying. So
in the end of all of it, I think they're probably going to have Lewis play maybe outside on first downs and then go into the slot on second and third downs, and then they'll just have Jarian in again packages. It doesn't have to be a specific thing, because that's exactly how the Houston Texans use Murray. Again, I watched 5 of his games last night, and it was like, all right, cool. No, Murray, he's in the box this play. He's in the slot more like a nickelback this next play. Like, he's a versatile chess piece too. And everybody's kind of down on him because they didn't know his name, even though he plays in the AFC South with the Jaguars as a starting safety who's played 100% of the snaps.
The state of the NFL safety as an NFL position is something I can hold an entire podcast on, bro. Okay,
these boys aren't on. They're not on the TV screen when they line up, because they're looking at the sideline view. You don't see them unless they're making an interception or something like that. And we don't watch the Houston Texans for the most part because we're Jacksonville Jaguars fans.
Pop quiz, Travis, and you probably know this. Outside of special teams, what position is the lowest franchise tag salary in the group?
Outside of which position?
Outside of special teams.
Outside of special teams, I would have to guess. Well, I was going to say running back, because running back, but then they recently kind of moved up. If it ain't running back, then I guess it's probably going to be a safety, just because you're asking this question.
Is safety.
Dang.
And that's sad. We're dudes that come from the age of John Lynch, Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, and secondary guys like Kanoe Kennedy. And I'm not even going to call Dawkins a secondary guy. He just played that long because he was that dominant. But
bro, they legislated hard hitting safeties out the league though, like, because they're giving dudes CTE.
Hold on, no. You think Ed Reed still wouldn't be a boss?
Ed Reed had ball skills, but some of these guys are just straight headhunters, and those guys are gone. So you're only getting a certain type of safety at that point.
So first of all,
that's my piece.
I need to know why you hate John Lynch so much, and I'm a little offended. B,
I don't hate him.
The Bucs fans already hate the Jags and that community, and now you got to hate on John Lynch to bring us more smoke from the Bucs. Thanks for that.
I don't hate John Lynch.
It hurts.
Goodell hates John Lynch.
You're not wrong. Anyways, before we jump back to the comments one last time, there is one thing I want to touch on, and we've alluded to it a couple times, and that's the, shall we say, parting with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. And I hear you, T. Wig, all the better minds out there talking about, and even saying, people are saying there's a replacement, and it's not. The one thing I think all of the ball knowers who explain out there what's going on with these positions, the key things that I think needs to be enunciated better is the reason there's not a replacement for those positions is because no one's looking to replace either of them. They're looking for that production from elsewhere. Okay. This isn't like last year when clearly BTJ was meant to replace and clearly did Calvin Ridley. That's not what's happening here. They are moving to a brave new world. Why do you think the coach that at one point coached Jimmy Graham, a guy who was in a franchise tag dispute of whether he was a receiver or a tight end and had a hell of a case, that coach now has Evan Ingram. There's a reason for that. The coach that currently made Bucky Irving a thing is now going with blocking tight ends, and the Niners paid $20 million for him. Listen, I get it. You're trying to replace Kyle's use check, but $20 million? Damn. Anyways, they're not replacing Evan Ingram. They're moving off of Evan Ingram. They're not replacing Christian Kirk. They're moving off of having that guy, that type of guy on the roster.
They're moving off of that style. They need to get, and if you want to make the run game great again, well then get you some damn big dudes up front. Get you a linebacker, make fullbacks great again. Like get you a fullback in here.
Yo, get you Kyle Juszczyk, I'll be stoked.
I can't imagine Kyle Juszczyk with Tank Bigsby running behind him, and how many dudes pissing down their leg right now watching that come at you. Like no. You want the Jacksonville Jaguars to be great. That's what you want. I want 3 yards in a cloud of dust and us going for it on 4th down and 1 every damn time. I don't want us never to punt the ball. I don't need us to have a punter on the roster. Like, that's what I need in my life. Like, so I'm here for that if that's who you want to be, because folks don't think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or they don't watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 2024 and realize they were seriously efficient. Like, they weren't super explosive as far as their run game was concerned, but they were good at getting 4 freaking yards. And that's the opposite of the Jacksonville. That's the antithesis of the Jacksonville Jags. Antithesis of the Jacksonville Jaguars, because we couldn't pick up 1 yard to save our damn life.
Oh man,
they will pick up 4 yards consistently.
I'm getting hype, and you had to bring the negativity. Real as it is, by the way.
No. So if you want to be great, well then, hey man, bring in some blocking tight ends. Bring in 2 blocking tight ends and get rid of the guy who can't block. Bring in, keep the big receiver, even if y'all don't like him, and Gabe Davis, who blocks on the edges. That's one thing he's good in. Cool. Bring in some more powerful offensive linemen to actually secure your interior of your O-line. And again, bring in the fullback, please. Pretty please.
Yo, I would love that. I would love that. I can't say it enough. A lot of great comments. I see you guys dropping bombs in here. Oh, and by the way, quick point, Brown, I think, fits more to what Cohen and company are trying to do. And oddly enough, Christian Kirk adding to a core, and I think, isn't he from Texas originally too, I think? Something
Kirk,
like
that? He's a Texas person.
So it's perfect for him, man. Listen, I hate the guy's gone. Once again, this is a pro Christian Kirk podcast. I don't give a damn what uniform he's wearing.
Right. They did not trade Christian Kirk to Houston randomly. No, they traded Christian Kirk for a 7th round draft pick. Come on, man. They traded Christian. That man he was going to go to Texas anyways. He was going to go to Houston anyways. So they got a draft pick out of it.
They did right for each other, and I love to hear that. But yeah, it's not that they wanted to get rid of Christian Kirk. They're moving off of that style. That's a great point. I love the way you put it at the end. So that is absolutely tight and spot on. Let's get back into it here. Aiden refers back to your Dilla comment. No soccer on right now. Probably talking about Waffle House or the price of eggs, bro. That's Aiden. You can't be that real on this show. We don't laugh at documentaries, bro. No. Anyways, Nasir agrees with me about my point about it depends on who you ask. I think he sees what you're saying about you may not be raising the production, but you're keeping the same energy with all the change and the same level of roster with all the change. And I think it's the point I was going to make, and you made it for me just fine. So I'm down with that. I want to get this one too. Strikeadocious, which, by the way, love that scream name. Keeping it 100. The Jags regime are doing something different in free agency, which I love, because making a big splash only pleases the fans but hurts the team in the long run. I'm just saying. Let me give this man a golf clap.
Yeah, man.
That is what
Strikeadocious.
You know what? There's a
Now
bell
that's
for you,
it.
bro.
It's the Green Bay Packers philosophy. That is what it is. Whether it's the Green Bay Packers or the new Washington Commanders. Shout out John Shipley's Jaguars on that side. Yeah, he made that prediction before free agency. Where they signed like 15, 16 guys in free agency, but they're all middle tier guys, like sort of like that. Hey man, feels like that.
Nasir jumps in again. Scherf was a PFF merchant. I don't know if I knew that term before, but I am stealing the bejesus out of that. That is a great description.
Scherf, and Andre Cisco, and I would even argue Devin Lloyd are PFF merchants. Folks don't want to talk about that.
Okay, I ain't fronting on it. Now Yoda's saying, "Told y'all." Okay. I don't know what he's referring to. We're doing a show. We're not watching Twitter, but we appreciate
everyone on Twitter right now. I'm still in the group chat, so everyone on Twitter right now keeps talking about the Dilla put the eyes emoji out, and that's like the bat symbol for something's going down. And then Yoda's just put out a tweet saying, "Told y'all."
Oh, I think he dropped something about
which can mean nothing, which can mean he saw Dilla's tweet, which means he heard something. I don't know, man. And now everybody's going crazy.
I saw somebody wearing number 93 flexing on his shirt on his account before, so I don't know if he's alluding to that perhaps. I don't know. All that scuttlebutt. We'll worry about that later. Brown is the best free agent because they won't be able to double team BTJ. Okay.
There we go.
Said that's what he accomplishes, but you're putting the icing before the cake, my good friend. See, I have to use an O-lineman analogy.
I know you're going. Go ahead.
You can't be putting no icing on there without the cake being made first. The linemen are the cake, and that doesn't matter if Trevor Lawrence is hurt or running away from that opening, right? But to your point, hey, I love that it's happening. Let's not get this twisted. We're arguing over what awesome thing that happened is better. Screw it. Just put pepperoni and mushrooms on the pizza at the same time. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you want to double him, then you have to hope that Brown makes them pay for it and then pulls them out of that defense. And if he doesn't, that's the question.
And it was always fun to watch on the rare occasions it did happen when they did make him pay for it last year. I will say that. Said brings up this point, and I love it. And I'm a little sad I didn't think of it. If Campbell's there, Tony wants him. Your football, your football operations, your EVP is the only Jags Hall of Famer and happens to be an offensive tackle. How have I not thought of this bias already? But yeah, that keeps Campbell on the board.
I don't even know if that's a good or bad thing. And I say that like legitimately. I don't even know if that's a good or bad thing because I don't know that I want someone drafting the position that they played at. And what I mean is, I think about this. John Elway, terrible at drafting quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
John Lynch, I don't think he's drafted one safety right now so far, like starting for the 49ers. And I'm not even a 49ers fan, and I know that. Like I'm thinking of football guys. When they draft guys who played the position they play, they always want to draft guys who are way too close to what they were as a player, and they miss. It's a bias.
How is it the GM safety has handled the quarterback position so well there in San Francisco? It makes no sense.
I'm just saying it's a bias we all have. Like that's me wanting cornerbacks. I love walk-ons because I was a walk-on at UCF and I earned myself. I earned my pay. I earned my scholarships. Like that's my preference. But that also means I'm gonna have a miss rate of that's just high because I'm going for the underdog, unfortunately. So I think we all have those little biases. Got to keep an eye on. So I don't know if Tony want a tackle early, I'm not sure I want him just because I know folks got them biases already built in.
Well, the thing working for you, my friend, is there is a good chance that Campbell will be off the board because for some reason, the Pats still believe in a North Carolina quarterback in Drake May, and they just haven't figured out you can't do that. But
man, you think everybody gonna be off the board? We must be drafting at 10. I don't know.
Listen,
it's a good chance he off the board. He off the board. They off the board. Your mom off the board.
I think. Well, and I talk about other possibilities. For me, like I'm over here like Doctor Strange. I get it, but I think the more likely most of these permutations have Matt Campbell off the board. I see most of it where Mason Graham, if the Jags don't trade back, will get Mason Graham rather than Campbell. Right.
No, I got you. You said Matt Campbell, and I'm like, who's Matt Campbell? I got you.
I knew a dude, Matt Campbell, in high school. I knew that was going to happen at least once. Anyways, Timmy Devil 1999. We are going 3 wide receivers in the draft. I don't know about that. I
3 wide receivers.
We'll see. In the draft, this sets us up to get 3 O-line each in 2 drafts, revamping the whole O-line.
Facts.
Interesting. I like that.
See that.
Even the guys they brought in, even the guys they brought in are not cemented starters. That's also a good statement. I think this is patchwork. He's right. We have 10 picks, and you might get more, Timmy. So when I first saw 3 wide receivers, I'm like, nah. And then, well, maybe so. I can't rule it out. So that's a good take.
Okay.
And he also thinks of bringing in more O-linemen and another tight end or Kyle Juszczyk, right, Timmy?
A pass-catching tight end. And yes, I mean, maybe it's Kyle Juszczyk, but you got a fullback will be on this roster. A bona fide fullback will be on this roster. That I do truly believe.
I would love it. I would love it. Aiden comments about the back signal from Dilla. And who is the opposite of a PFF merchant on the Jags? Oh, that's easy. Trevor Lawrence. Next question.
Ooh, that's facts. Trevor Lawrence.
Got him.
That's it.
Brown does not have hands, and he's a fumbler too. Draft a wide receiver high.
Fumbler?
Well, here's the thing. Timmy, I'm not saying that's wrong, but if they're going to use him as a streaker down the field, he's not going to be carrying the ball in space a whole lot, one would think. And you can teach
his main routes are post routes, go routes, and digs and deep digs. So
you can teach that out. You could get that out of a guy's system. Now, not having hands, well, what you're telling me is they got another version of Calvin Ridley. Anyways, I'm so bad.
He only had 1 lost fumble, so I don't know if he's had more and they're just not on the stat sheet. But I only see the 1 lost fumble in 2024 and none in his previous years.
Boy, and you took it next level. I'm saying even if it was true, he's in a place where there's less opportunity to make those mistakes. So they do have that working for him. But no, I mean, we appreciate the take, Timmy. Don't get it twisted. How much power does Tony have, though? That's a good question. I was going to bring that up. There is kind of a check and balance going on there with James Gladstone and Liam Cohen as the GM and coach. So that's agrees with us.
They're doing it together. That's all we know.
It's a triumvirate for those of you who know your Roman history, right? Said since his draft O-line, guard, running back, wide receivers, need 2 probably. Said we hear you. I don't know what the guard class looks like from what I've seen. And granted, I'm not the scout here. I've heard the opposite.
Deep.
Okay.
Yeah, folks say it's not, but I'm just like, nah, man, because you have a lot of guards who can like play center because the center class, the center class is very thin, we'll say. But you got guys like what's the name? Freaking A. Why am I drawing a blank? I'm trying to think about all the guards who can also play center in this draft.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't need names, but what your takeaway is that it's a deep group. And the good thing about guards is you can float them later down the draft because they're for whatever reason, there's a stigma against, kind of like running backs, against drafting guards in the first round. So
I mean, it's going to start with Tyler Booker because that's the guard from Alabama. That's what I'm thinking. Freaking Gray Zabel, North Dakota State, because he's going to play guard. But then at the Senior Bowl, they also had him playing, center, getting his center snaps in.
Guys all over the place.
Donovan Jackson,
like the past 3 UCF guards that were in an all-star game like that all took some snaps at center to show off. So, Yeah.
I mean, you got the top 3 rounds. You got like 7 guards. Like, I don't think that's slim by any means. I just think they're just not first round guys, but you absolutely have a boatload of second to third round guys. I think it's just fine.
100%. Aiden jumps in. I got you back on this. Travis said we're adding 4 corners. No, he said 4 DBs because he was accounting for Andre Sisco. I said earlier this offseason that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to bring in 5 O-linemen between free agency and the draft, and I still stand on that. They brought in 3 so far. I'm about to say, yeah. You got odds on you so far. I'll put it that way. And he must be talking about Will Campbell with unless Mason and Travis there. Yeah, 100%. And then the fourth name I think Travis would say is Will Campbell behind all of them if true disaster strikes. We'll leave that at. See, some nasty fumbles in the playoffs. So you're judging off of one game, Timmy? Interesting.
Well, it could be 3 games, but I didn't recall him having any fumbles. So I'm just if that happened, I missed it, man.
I don't know, but yeah, to the point is the postseason's a different animal too. Like guys playing in their first postseason. Not sure that this is Brown's first postseason. I'm making an assumption. Also play tight too. We'll say that. We'll say that there. Draft 2 safeties, maybe. Can't rule that out.
The freaking Reed Blankenship fumble. That's what he's talking about. That was a turnover in the playoffs, but it doesn't count on his stat sheet because it's not. They only show you the playoffs stuff. Yeah.
And say he's 4 years in the league, right? But it still could be his first playoffs. Yeah, I get you there. I'm saying all these things. I don't have this looked up off the top of my head here, so you're bringing good stuff to me. I appreciate you weighing in. Tappan jumps in. T-Mac has to be the pick right now.
Do you have an opinion on T-Mac? Do you have on Ted McMillan? Do you have an opinion? Everybody seems to have one.
In different draft years for teams with better with better trench play, I'll just say it outright. I would be at least curious. I know you're low on Ted McMillan. But then again, in Ted McMillan's defense, like he's already called Ted, and you guys call him T-Mac to shorten it further by adding a syllable. Anyways, the punchline's this. You were low on BTJ, did more research, saw something. You've been researching Ted, and you ain't feeling it already.
And that's what makes it different for me, because I was low on BTJ because I was like, I think I need to see more from the route tree perspective. I see a lot with the route tree as far as Ted McMillan is concerned, and I'm still lower than everybody else on him when they're talking about drafting him in the top 10. I just don't see that.
Well, and I don't know that he's that guy either, but that's not even where I'm taking it. I'm going to go more need-based, and there's other guys that are better at their positions that also happen to coincide with positions of need. And if you happen to be Travis Hunter, you coincide with 2 positions of need. Remember, the package I want to see if the Travis Hunters get their wish and the Heisman Trophy winner comes to Jacksonville, to Duval County. I don't want to see red zone packages. If Travis Hunter ever walks out in red zone, I'm going to be against it. However, in first and long at the beginning of drives, I want Travis Hunter across from BTJ. And if Brown's on the roster, put him in the slot, or at the other receiver, put BTJ in the slot. I don't care. Yeah. You're putting Travis Hunter outside.
You want to see all this speed and all this space for these guys to make these long runs and long deep balls down the field. You want to see the explosive offense.
And I'm going to add this too. Guys are going to be watching him close because NFL vets are going to be inspired in 2 ways. A, they're going to want to shut this kid up. They don't want this rookie thinking that this rookie ain't nothing. I don't care if he play. I don't care how many snaps you play. This is the NFL, baby. Or deep down, their inner voice, the young boy and child inside them, oh, golly jeepers, I hope he doesn't beat me, because we know all the cameras are going to be on Travis Hunter.
That's fair. But no, I meant to tell you this earlier. I'm just telling you this for you. If you haven't seen it, you guys got to check out Jordan Lewis's rookie conversations, we'll call them conversations, with Dez Bryant. They were posted on, like, everybody's with Jordan just getting his contract with the Jaguars. Everybody's kind of posting. They remember this situation with him and Dez Bryant going at it, and they were talking mad for 5 full minutes and going at it in practice. And then they just kind of posted they went one-on-ones at the end of practice because he kept talking shit all day. And Dez Bryant did what Dez Bryant does, and they were still talking it. And then ASB for the Detroit Lions came out on the Pivot podcast, and his interview saying that Jordan Lewis is the person that he doesn't like. Like, this is the one person he just hates playing against because he talks so much. And he's like, he just tries to get into your head like he's that dude.
So it sounds like destroying on YouTube. I got you.
I'm so here for it, bro. This is like, I'm good. I'm good with anybody who try to walk that walk and kind of talk it.
And let's see, we got Cedric. I'm excited. Top of T Mac, Travis, or Mason Campbell are your picks. No, and if you're high on Tet, that's a fine tree. I'm not here to say, I'll put it this way. I think our reaction will be similar to when we each saw Trayvon Walker get drafted first overall. You absolutely hated it. I'm like, I see what they're doing. Let's see where it goes.
Man, right now, I can tell you, and we are what, a month and a few days, no, a week from the NFL draft, and I can tell you at what 100% right now, if the Jacksonville Jaguars draft anybody but Travis Hunter, half the fan base gonna be pissed off. I can tell you that 100% right now.
But if he's off the board,
if Travis Hunter's off the board, no one's happy.
Fair.
Like half the fan base is like, I didn't like him because he had too short arms, or I didn't like it because I wanted so and so. Because we have no consensus right now. Like if it's not Travis Hunter, it's just like, hey man, whatever. Fast forward to the start of the season. That's it.
Screw it. Where's August? No.
Yep.
Last comment in here from Tapa. I was thinking Campbell, but they signed a starting guard and center. So would we really draft Campbell at 5 for him to sit next season? Sir, I think you make a bold ass assumption that he's sitting as a tackle. Yeah.
Well, he's looking at it wrong. When you say, will they draft him to sit next season? No, they ain't drafting him to sit next season. They drafting him to compete this season. They might have signed a free agent. They drafted a free agent that they signed to sit behind him and to be your break glass in case of emergency situation. But you don't know. Like I'm drafting guys and I'm signing guys to raise the competition level here, to raise the temperature, and to make these guys the best. And whoever starts. But you don't sign them with the thought they're going to be my starter or they're going to be my starter in the draft. Like I'm signing them to say, I hope you're better than the guy I just brought in, beat his ass, earn the position.
Here's what I don't get. Fair. Here's what I don't get. Dang, we're an hour in. Here's what I don't get is when a young quarterback is being backed up by an older quarterback, everyone is fine and assumes, in fact, demands that old man to mentor the young quarterback. But basically every other position, why are you starting the younger guy? As if you can't learn from an old guy who's backing you up. Why is that? I don't get that.
Everybody like new and shiny.
Oh well. I mean,
everybody like new and shiny, and we hate anybody that's old, even when they old and like dope.
But if that's the case, when the young guy starts, why are they so worried about it? So you're talking what you said applies to quarterbacks universally. Agreed. But any other position, I don't see it happen quite like that. I mean, you're right. But
I mean, the other positions they depend on speed and stuff like that. Quarterbacks, you can be the slowest dude out there. Tom Brady look like somebody's daddy, and it don't matter, like because he ain't got to be athletic. You just got to get that ball out.
You heard Chariots of Fire playing because they thought it was in slow motion with Tom Brady.
I mean, he was somebody's daddy, but he actually looked like somebody's daddy, so that was a little different.
Wow. Tapa. Last time I was going off of free agency. I said T-Mac because they would. They necessarily didn't get a 2 in free agency. But as for Travis Hunter, I would love him, but I don't see him getting past the pass. No, I'll agree with that. To take 100%. Tapa. No, that's a good call. Man, listen, we're an hour in, guys. The comments are coming in.
Keep going.
Yo, keep beating it up because we will go back and read it. This is why I made jokes about, not just keep it going for another hour. We won't complain. Yeah, Paul, I'm gonna tell you, that's the best compliment you could give any show host. Okay, here's the thing: you might love it, my kids won't. That's the bottom.
Let them know. That man said, my kids, my wife. I got. I love y'all, but I love them more. I got you.
Hey, look here. If y'all want a longer extravaganza special at some point, me and Travis will do it. Just make sure you let us know what the topics should be for that, and we'll schedule it out. How about that?
There you go. Y'all got to show up. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, they'll show up. I'm not worried about that. We just give us a chance. Tell us you want it. We'll schedule it. We'll put it that way. But Travis, tell the world, my guy.
Can be found on all the socials. Travis D. Holmes, Blue Sky, Twitter, whatever. All of them. More importantly, BigCatCountry.com. That's where you need to be getting your news from. If it ain't Fans First Sports Network or BigCatCountry.com, you're hustling backwards, bro. And I need you to do better in 2024, 2025, 2020, whatever the hell year we're in, man. It's hard out here for a pimp. I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind. But you hear me. BigCatCountry.com. We have the free agency draft, the free agency tracker going on. We're going to have the draft tracker coming up sometime next week, the week of the NFL draft. I don't know, man. Y'all know what this is. Come on. Favorite it. Show up. Where can you be found, sir? Oh, wait a minute. And if you're listening to the sound of my voice, Duval Dive on YouTube, Duval Dive on whatever your podcast catcher, rate and review us. Do quick second. I promise you it ain't going to take but 2 snaps, 2 clicks of the button. Help us out. Like and subscribe, and we appreciate you for being here.
Hey, you know what? Sir? Help us help you. When you do that, you keep us alive. Simply put, of course, I am Kyle Nash. As soon as the game, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, as well as Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings with the Fans First Sports Network, covering both the Orlando Magic and your Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as my work with the Black and Gold Banneret and the Night Shift YouTube channel /podcast. That's right. The rebrand is official. I write for blackandgoldbanneret.com. But the staff of the blackandgoldbanneret.com do the Night Shift podcast. Check those things out. I believe UCF, as we record, are playing Kansas in the tournament. Or was that last night? I forgot. Anyway, punchline's this. Make sure you check it out for all the latest, whether it be spring sports you're into, whether you're into Scott Frost hyping up and getting their football program back on its feet. Make sure you check all of that out. So, for my good friend and personal champion, Travis D. Holmes of Big Cat Country, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. And thank you guys. Y'all were electric. The reason why we went long is because y'all were hot in the comments. God bless it. We are grateful for all of it.
Let them know, Kyle. Let them know, Kyle. This was a 30-minute podcast that went an hour and 6 minutes because y'all was excited and y'all wanted to keep talking, so we just let it ride.
You brought 120% more greatness to this show. And y'all are intelligent fans too, by the way. We'll just throw that out there too. There's a bell for the fans of the Duval Dive in the building. So until next time, my friends, class dismissed.